Welcome to another edition of Weekly Digest, a government information agency program that keeps you informed on what the administration has been doing that will create a better environment for citizens. I'm your host, Ursula Rambayal. Thank you for joining us. In this week's presentation for the period July 25th to August 1st, 2014, more vehicles given to Amerindian communities, roads continue to be improved in mining communities, and more weather stations to be established. As part of the Amerindian Affairs Ministry's commitment to the development of Amerindian villages across the hinterland, it has been providing vehicular assistance to several communities, with Santa Rosa being the most recent community to benefit.
Minister of Amerindian Affairs Pauline Sakai recently presented the Village Council of the Moruca sub-region of Santa Rosa Village in Region 1 with 3 pickups and a backhoe. According to the minister, this would help improve the administration functions and provide support to other areas such as transportation for children and the provision of goods and services into the community.
And those pickups will go to the Santa Rosa Village Council to improve the governance, administration, to provide support to other areas, and of course, it will enhance the way that this village is administrated. Waikrebi in the sub-region will also be receiving one of the vehicles. Waikrebi also needs transportation to ensure that there is enough transportational services to produce, to transport produce, to transport emergency cases, to assist in school children transportation, and of course, the provision of goods and services into the community.
The backhoe will be placed in a management committee which will schedule its use and management. It is expected to aid in the maintenance of the main road and internal roads of the community.
And the backhoe is expected to be placed, of course, in a management committee so that the scheduling of its use and work will be managed properly. I have come to Santa Rosa many times and I've heard the complaints about the road, the maintenance, and I believe that since this is private lands, private property, Amerindian title lands are private property, it means that the people will have to start contributing to the maintenance of their property. They should start doing that, and to launch that commitment which the people of this sub-region and Santa Rosa Village shall make, I believe, is the investment of a backhoe so that it will aid in the maintenance of the road.
These vehicles are not the first batch to be provided to the sub-regions. Over the past 3 years, the Amerindian Affairs Ministry contributed a variety of vehicles in the sub-regions. These include tractors, minibuses, boat and engine, and pickups.
Improved roads will soon be accessed in mining areas in Regions 7 and 8 as the Guyana Gold and Diamond Miners Association and the Guyana Geology and Mines Commission have signed contracts for rehabilitation works to several roads.
The Guyana Geology and Mines Commission and the Guyana Gold and Diamond Miners Association have earmarked several interior roads for major rehabilitation works. Minister of Natural Resources and the Environment, Robert Persaud, made this announcement during a recent press briefing. Minister Persaud said heavy rainfall has significantly affected mining activities in some areas, especially operations to which access have been restricted. In other areas, the water level is so high that operations have had to close down until further notice.
The priority has been given to the issue of road work done. And the board and the commission itself again has been tasked with stepping up. One, identifying priority, and based on discussions with the GGDMA, we've identified a number of roads, a number of access that have been priority areas.
The Peroni Access Road in Region 7 is one earmarked for rehabilitation that will cost $43.1 million. Rehabilitation works will also be carried out on the Brian Sur Junction to Madia Region 8 and the Sano Road Region 7, to name a few. The total expenditure in terms of roadworks will be in the vicinity of $1.5 billion. This is dedicated work being done for mining access and does not take into account what the Public Works Ministry will be doing. Similar efforts are being made to ensure that airstrips are maintained. Moreover, the GGMC is implementing a mechanism whereby they can have a number of pre-qualified contractors rather than having to wait for the long contract awarding process to be completed.
Culture is one of the defining aspects of various ethnic groups and is an area that the government has been pushing to maintain Guyana's rich diversity. As Guyanese celebrate emancipation, several African groups have received assistance to maintain their traditions.
89 groups were presented with checks from the Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sport amounting to over $8 million. Emancipation Day is the anniversary to mark the end of the inhumane system of slavery. On August 1, 1834, slavery was abolished in all British colonies, including British Guyana, now Guyana.
And this is closest to your heart because it deals with our ancestors, it deals with our history. You were the ones when everybody else had been turning their backs on tradition and heritage and all of that. You were the ones who've been sustaining this. So I know it's close to you. And therefore, I want to encourage you to be part of this because it's important for all of us. And you have that role to play.
Since 2005, government has been supporting emancipation activities starting with just 3 groups and has been encouraging persons from various backgrounds to become involved in preserving their cultural activities.
So when we celebrate this Emancipation Day, we're not only celebrating, we must talk about our history. We must know that history. We must make sure that the children that are coming up understands that history, because that is so important.
The Museum of African Heritage has also been archiving documents and artifacts of the country's history, which will be showcased to other countries that were also victims of slavery.
Government's commitment to ensure every child is provided with the necessary infrastructure needed for them to receive quality education is being manifested throughout the regions as works are to commence on several new educational structures or expansions to existing ones.
Recognizing the growing number of nursery-age children and with the new age change for entry into the nursery school system, approximately $14 million will be invested on expansion work at the Roxanne Burnham Nursery School to provide a more spacious environment to accommodate a larger intake in the new school term. Additionally, 130 children will be the beneficiaries of a new nursery school which is to be constructed at E. Fields Fire, Cummings Park, to the tune of $30.8 million.
We have adopted a new policy in the Ministry of Education, and that is every new building that we're going to do, we want to make sure we have these kinds of meetings so that you are fully involved in this process. We can't be here every day. We can't come and see what's happening. This is your school. This is a school for your children. And so we want to make sure that you are invested and you understand that you have the right to come and check to see what's happening. Because if it's not done well, it's your babies, our babies, because I consider your babies my babies. It's our babies that will suffer. And we have seen over the years, the government has committed both vocally as well as tangibly through financial means and other investments to improving the education sector. And some of that improvement comes through buildings, making sure we have larger buildings and more friendly spaces.
Meanwhile, extension work on the Friendship Secondary have commenced and has a contract deadline on February 25, 2015. The contract for the structure, which will house 6 new classrooms, has been awarded to the Nabi and Sons Construction Company.
We have embarked on this massive education program, building schools, extending schools, providing trained teachers, providing textbooks, providing materials. And what we have seen is, and I do not speak here of all contractors, so I want to be very clear about that, but some contractors do terrible work. So we in the government, we want to do well for your children. We put out the money, we make sure we acquire enough money and that we invest it back in the sector. And then we have some scamp man or woman coming, bidding, getting the job, being paid for it, and not doing what they're supposed to do. Now, that is not all contractors. We've had contractors who have done fantastic work, brought it in before time, within budget, and of high quality. But we've also had people who have conned us and robbed our children of what they're supposed to get.
The Ministry of Education has been holding consultation in several communities that will benefit from new schools to ensure that parents play a role in supervising these structures to ensure quality work is being executed. Construction on the $25.4 million modern secondary school at Kato Region 8 which is expected to house 350 students, is progressing. The new school is expected to be opened early 2015.
Stay tuned, more of the Weekly Digest after the break.
In an effort to respond more promptly to citizens, the Home Affairs Ministry has launched an online crime reporting system which allows citizens who possess or have access to cell phones, computers, or other devices with internet connections to report criminal activities. Citizens can get instant access to security personnel on BlackBerry Messenger via 280-4E429. Reports of corruption can also be made on www.ipaidthebribe.com. These reports can be made anonymously.
The Government Information Agency, GINA, evolved from the Government Information Service and was formally launched in 2002. GINA is executing its mandate of keeping Guyanese, both locally and in the diaspora, informed of government's programs and policies pertinent to development. Cognizant of the right of Guyanese to information, GINA, through its dedicated staff, has endeavored to deliver its mandate to the best of its ability. Guyanese have every right to be informed of policies, programs, and projects which impact on their lives. The Government Information Service was in operation long before the PPPC administration took office and discharged the same mandate. GINA is a unit of the Office of the President, and its mandate is similar to other organizations around the world where governments have a fixed body to disseminate their information. GINA will endeavor to remain steadfast to its mandate and takes pride in continuing to serve the people of Guyana. GINA, information for nation building.
Guyana is set to achieve the goal set by the United Nations Children's Fund UNICEF of universal birth registration by 2015. The General Register Office has launched an intensive campaign. It has decentralized its services to specifically cater to the needs of residents living in the interior location. Bedside registration is also done in several public hospitals. There are now 200 registration centers operating in the 10 regions. Citizens are urged to ensure that all births are registered.
In an effort to improve the accuracy and efficiency of forecasts and other weather-related information, the Agriculture Ministry will be installing an additional 30 automatic weather stations across the country.
At present, there are 14 automatic weather stations, 7 meteorological observatories, 60 water level stations, and 148 rainfall stations at strategic locations across the country. The ministry will be placing 40 transmitting rain gauges in flood-prone areas to enable forecasters to see what is happening on the ground on a 24-hour basis and make adjustments to forecasts and offer the public better advice. The Hydromet service has a combination of 40 transmitting water level and rainfall lodgers in the East Demerara Water Conservancy and the Mahaica rivers. As such, should water reach a certain level in the Mahaica area, an alarm is sent to the ministry's cell phones. This would in turn inform the National Drainage and Irrigation Authority to ensure that sluices and pumps are monitored and operated as required to protect citizens in those areas. The ministry plans to extend this system of monitoring to other conservancies and flood-prone areas.